Hello, I'm Bernard Hickey from interest.co.nz and welcome to another in our series of double shot interviews. This is where we bring in a chief executive or a minister or someone saying something interesting about the economy or business, and then we grill them for 10 minutes or so. And today we've got Tim Alpe. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you.
Who is the chief executive of Jucy, which is a company that runs rental cars and rental vans and is thinking about listing on the stock market. And Tim, I thought it'd be interesting to find out, A, what your company's up to and what your plans are. Jucy, what's its story?
Jucy's a 8-year-old business, started by my brother and I back in 2002. We're a tourism brand, fundamentally. Just happens to run car rentals, camper vans. We have a hotel in Auckland City called Jucy Hotel and a little cruise boat in the Milford Sound called Jucy Cruise.
And who are you aiming at? Who are your customers?
When we first started, it was primarily targeting the backpacker market, and now the average age of our customers is in their 40s, and we have a real range from 18 to 80, fundamentally.
So why did you sort of move up from the backpacking end of the market?
I think when we first started, we were kind of backpackers ourselves, so that was the market that we knew, that's what we trusted. But then I think our product actually became a lot more desirable with a cross-section of people, not just with the backpacker market. So in Australia, where we have a large fleet of vehicles, it's probably more backpacker focused. In New Zealand, it's a real cross section.
So over the last 5 or 10 years, I've noticed that there seems to have been a lot of these, what I call camper vans with squabs in them,
yeah,
that have cropped up. Whereas in the past, you used to have to rent a proper camper van with the gas cooker and the loo and the whole, 100K to buy this thing job. Whereas people have been importing these vans and decking them out and spraying them up. What's happened in the market there? From someone, you've obviously been watching it closely.
Yeah, I think there has been a huge growth in that sort of smaller camper van market. And we run, all our camper vans have gas cookers, for example, and working fridges. So we probably don't go into the real budget van type, but there has been a huge increase in that. That's because demand's warranted it. A lot of people don't want the large, 6-berth. Big camper vans. They want the camping ground facilities are so good in New Zealand now that you don't need the toilet and shower in the vehicles. Half our fleet has toilet and showers and half doesn't. So we have a bit of a mixture of both. But I think there has been definitely a growth in that area. We're slightly different in what we do is we import a second-hand chassis from Japan, so it might have 50,000 k's on the clock, but we build a brand new interior in the back and all fiberglass.
All right. Why that? Why do it that way rather than just get in a van and deck it out a bit?
Because I think what happened was our customers told us that, when we first started going, they said, look, we don't mind if the vehicle's got 50,000 k's on the clock, but we don't want something that's been a camper van for 6 years. So we went out to a boat builder that we knew and said, well, you guys deal in small confined areas. Why don't you build us a real next generation interior? And we did, and they built this fiberglass interior which basically goes into the back of this van. It's got no corners, so it's all rounded, so we can literally hose this thing out. So we can get a lot faster turnaround than our competitors. We can also build 3 for the price of a brand new one.
All right. Now, over the last 8 years or so, you've been growing. What are your growth plans now?
Well, we've grown in New Zealand with our cars and camper vans, and we've just, as I said, recently gone into the hotel game, and we're looking at launching. We were looking at launching another hotel in Christchurch, and we are still looking in Queenstown. Australia is a big part of our market. We went there 2 years ago with about 100 camper vans. We now have close to 450. So that's sort of been the growth. We really want to see the hotel products expand. We're looking at the US as a camper van market for us, particularly California. So we've got some pretty big growth plans for the brand and for the business.
So how are you going to fund them?
Well, today, we're a very capital intensive business. We haven't had the luxury of building up a brand and running at substantial losses to build that brand up. We really had to be profitable from day one. So we funded it to date on shareholder loans and on profits, fundamentally. But we are looking at alternatives now, because if we really want to ramp this thing up, we're going to need capital to be able to do that.
So what are the alternatives?
Well, an IPO, listing is very much on the cards. We think that the exchange is poorly represented with tourism companies. There's only probably a handful. Given it's the largest employer of people in the country and probably the second largest industry, it's pretty poorly represented. We think the timing's probably right for us. We've got 8 years of proven track record. The brand is now well known in the country. It's getting even more well known in Australia. So we're looking good on those aspects, and we think the market's screaming out for Jucy.
But there's a couple of options. You could borrow money in theory, from a bank or maybe in some sort of bond issue, or you could bring in some sort of private equity investor. Why a stock market listing?
We have bank debt at the moment. That's fundamentally how we've grown it to date, and we can get more, and that we haven't been held back because of funding. But I think what it does do for us is that we're a family business, so it also gives us tradable stock. Whilst we got no plans to get out, Dan and I, my brother and I, might have a falling out in 5 years' time and decide that he wants to go elsewhere or whatever. So there's that side of it, which is probably secondary. We really want to give our staff skin in the game as well, and the ability to have ownership in our business. We really want people to come along for the ride. We're just on the cusp, I think, of really fast tracking our growth, and if we can raise quite a bit of money, then we can really go out there and really fast track this as opposed to just growing organically, which we've done successfully to date, but we can really ramp it up.
Can you give us an idea of the size of the business and how much capital you might want to raise?
Yeah, I mean, we're still, at the moment, we're turning over around about 32 million a year. So it's a good sized tourism company. It's got a huge potential going forward. In terms of how much we're really looking at how much we really need to raise to go into the likes of the US to really grow our fleet. As it's pretty capital intensive, but we're really keen to grow that, continue to grow that brand, and look at other areas which we can juicify, for lack of a better word. Looking at areas which we can actually go out there and put our attitude and our brand and our next generation marketing approach to getting business.
What's different about what you're doing compared to a lot of the other rental car and rental van companies? Because it must be intensely competitive.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think there's 200 car rental operators in Auckland alone, so it's ridiculously competitive, and camper vans are the same. I think with us, we take a real, as I mentioned before, a next generation approach. So we don't rely on the distribution channels of the travel agent type. We work with travel agents, but we work very strongly on the web. We have a large social media focus, so we get a lot of our business by using that next generation approach to marketing. We're also a brand. We're a marketing business that just happens to run cars and camper vans. And I think that's a different approach to us, to some of the other operators who are transport operators. We're a marketing business, and we're street fighters. We'll never do the undercover boss TV program. Where the guy goes undercover and no one knows who he is. We still answer the phones. We still understand, know the groomers in Christchurch, know the people in Cairns. So that's really important. We're close to the ball game.
Now, this market of international travel, does it really have a future as we go into an era of greenhouse gas constraints? We've had a big recession. A lot of younger people don't have an awful lot of money, maybe not travelling so much. I mean, what's the big picture here for growth or not in that that adventure tourism young travelling market?
Yeah, look, I think it's funny. We've seen in the past when exchange rates go up or the job market gets tight in the UK. A lot of these people, they still continue to travel, which is really interesting. There is, the GFC of the last few years is, for us, we've actually grown significantly over that period, and I think because we are an alternative option. We're not a top tier car rental operator. Our vehicles might be 2 or 3 years older than that, so people are actually looking at us and saying, well, I can go with this, or I can save $20, $30, $40 a day and go with Jucy, and I can then go out and spend the money on at a restaurant or at activities. And we also find there's a saying in our industry where a lot of our customers will, they'll walk 10 minutes down the road to save $5 on the accommodation and go to the bar and spend $100. And that's kind of the philosophy, really. So that'll probably explain the clientele.
Right. Tim Alpe, the CEO of Jucy, here at interest.co.nz in another of our double shot interviews.